Bright Tuty. Every student matters.
Hello dear students, welcome to another lecture. In this class we are going to begin with chapter 11 of class 11 education, which is the concept of school. Now dear students, in this chapter we are going to learn about some of the most important terms for the education. Okay? Valuation, examination and measurement. What is the difference between them? Why is evaluation more important than examination? What are the different techniques of evaluating the students, and also the concept of CCE, that is the continuous and comprehensive evaluation. So this chapter, dear students, is actually going to tell us about three terms, as I told you: examination, evaluation and measurement. We are going to learn about the functions of evaluation, the types in which the examinations are conducted, difference between formative and summative assessment, as well as CCE pattern of. Now, as I told you, evaluation is always preferred over examination. Why is that so? What is the reason why evaluation is given more weight over examination? What is the meaning of examination? Now, dear students, you all know that you have your exam, right? You have your periodic assessments, or maybe your half-yearly midterm exams, or your final exams, right? So, examination is basically a tool with the help of which the teachers can get to know how much you have learned over the years and how much you have achieved in what you have learned. Okay? Examination is a means with the help of which we can measure how proficient you are, how good you are in the subject, in the activity that you have been a part of. You have an exam of English. The teacher wants to know how much English you have learned over this time, whether the different concepts taught in the class were clear to you or not. Similarly, if you have an exam of mathematics, the teacher is interested to know whether you are thorough with the formula, with the way the mathematical operations are used, and so on and so. Examination basically is a tool with the help of which one can measure how good, how proficient you are in the subject that you have. But examination is a topic, or this word examination is condemned by a lot of people. A lot of people say very bad things, they feel not very good about examination and they prefer evaluation over exam. Why do they do that? Because evaluation is something which is done in a continuous manner. A. B. It is a comprehensive term. It not only takes into consideration what you have learned in your English. When we take an exam in English, what happens? You'll have questions based on reading skills, you have questions on writing skills, grammar topics that you've learned, the literature topics that you've learned, and you appear for the exam. However, when we talk about evaluation, it is going to judge how well you've understood the concept of the entire essence of the language English. That means how good or how well endowed you are with the basic thing that one requires in English. For example, your speaking skills, your listening skills, how well you are or how creative you are with respect to your writing. So all these aspects, how well you were in the class, how responsive you were in the class, how regular you were in the class, whether you took part in the classroom activities or not. So basically, evaluation is a term which is whole. It talks about all the different aspects that make a learner, not just the exams or the subject knowledge. It not only talks about the annual examinations that are taken at the end of the year, but it talks about assessing the students throughout the year through small activities that are thrown to them. So, educational evaluation is basically more preferred these days because the educators, the modern teachers, the modern educators believe that evaluation is a way through which we can study, we can assess how well the child has been learning throughout, how much growth the child has shown over a period of time, how much the child has developed in the field of education. So basically, evaluation is preferred over examination only and only because it is continuous in nature. It is not just once or twice a year that you are evaluated, just like your exams, but it takes place throughout and it is comprehensive. It talks about the entire learning, it talks about all the aspects of a learner. So, a system where examinations are conducted, when you have your midterm or your final examination, the focus is entirely on how well you have been able to score in those 2 or 3 exams that you have during the year. While evaluation is something that considers and that assesses the student from an overall perspective. Not only academics, but all the aspects are taken care of. Therefore, evaluation is a process which is more effective. Why? Because if the students know that for all the activities that they are going to take part in, they will be assessed, they will be evaluated, then obviously the effectiveness, the energy, the dedication with which they are going to be a part of those learning activities is obviously going to be better and higher. Therefore, it is always preferred to keep the students engaged so that learning becomes a continuous process, not just something which is done once or twice a year. Therefore, the activities that are intended to, educate the children about different aspects, the subject related matter, the overall achievement of the children is what the continuous and comprehensive evaluation talks about. The CCE pattern of education talks about. Now let us talk about what are the functions of. Now, as we have just discussed with you, dear students, evaluation is something which is done on a continuous basis and it is something which is going to assess the student on the basis of the overall learning experience. Not just the subject matter, but the learning objectives, the activities, sports, speaking, listening, critical thinking, all the different aspects are taken care of. Therefore, evaluation has a very big role to play in the achievement of the goals that education of today's time requires the student to. Do you want a child who is excellent with mathematics when it comes to writing? He knows all the formula, he knows all the laws, all the theorems, he is well versed with everything. But when it comes to critical or logical reasoning or thinking, he does not know anything about that. English, for example. The child knows all the functions, all the rules of the simple present tense, let's say. But when it comes to speaking, he commits 100 errors in a single sentence itself. Okay, that was just a hypothetical statement. So this is something which is certainly not required. So the educators of today do not want the children to be proficient in the academic, in the subject only. They want to adopt such methodologies to impart teaching and learning to the students so that they can become an all-rounder, so that their holistic development can be emphasized upon. They can become a good speaker, good listener, good writer, they have a good intellectual thinking, critical thinking, logical thinking. They are sensitive towards the environment. They are sensitive towards the other, friends in the class and so on and so on. Therefore, the process of evaluation serves multiple functions in the entire education. The first function of evaluation is that it decides what is the present status of the student. Through the small activity that the teacher is going to take up in the class, she will get to know how each child is performing, whether the children have improved upon or there is a lot of scope for the same. So the present status of the student will be known to the teacher. She will not have to wait for the midterm exams or the year-end exams. Rather, she can get to know about the status of the students and work in the direction of their improvement. Next, it helps a teacher, it empowers a teacher to find out whether the student has acquired some knowledge in the subject or not. If yes, then to what extent? And if no, then how much, hard work needs to be put in by both the teacher as well as the student to get the appropriate knowledge. Since we are assessing the students from time to time, therefore their knowledge base is going to be strengthened. Third, it diagnoses, it enables the teacher to know about the strengths as well as the weaknesses of the child. As I told you, through some activity that your teacher was conducting in the class, she found your performance to be above average. Okay, she found that your performance is above average and you can actually strive for perfection. What will she do? She will make sure that you are given, or the difficulty level of maybe the questions that are given to you for solving are increased, because she believes that you have surpassed the average level and now you need to be prepared for the difficult level. Similarly, if a child is very weak, is even below average, is a slow learner, is a low achiever, the teacher again is going to take the necessary steps so that the child can be brought at least to the average level. So, step by step, the teacher is going to aim towards the betterment of the child. It motivates the students for better learning. Now, we all know that if we are given with the feedback of what we are doing, it will enable us to move ahead in a better manner. If I will have to wait for some feedback till the end of the month, the motivation level, the inspiration level is going to die down, right? On the other hand, if timely, feedback is given, a child will learn what are the gray areas that he or she needs to work upon so that they can just surpass all the problems and all the loopholes that they are facing in their learning. Next, it also gives an incentive to the students to work hard, as I told. If the child is being assessed regularly, if the child is being assessed continuously, he is going to be very well aware of what all he or she should do so as to get a better score, so as to become more proficient with what he or she is doing. So this inspiration to work harder is going to come to the child only when he is assessed and is given a regular feedback. It analyzes the growth of the students in terms of the curricular activities also. Not only are we going to pay attention only, to the subject related things, but through these activities, the detailed knowledge can be instilled in the children, right? As I said, it is not only important for me to know the rules of English grammar, but to use these rules in the spoken English and the written form is what that matters to me. It predicts the future achievement of the student. Since the evaluation takes place regularly, a child as well as the teacher as well as the parents will be prepared for the final report card, the report analysis of the student. Rather than coming to them as a huge shock, this is going to be something that they will prepare for. Since the parents are also provided with these reports of timely assessment, they have the entire scope to prepare the child better, to work on the loopholes of the children so that the achievements can be better. It gives knowledge about the students to the teachers, and this helps them to guide the students better. As I told you, it is due to these timely assessments that the teacher gets to know perfectly about where all the student lacks, and when the teacher will get to know about that, she would be in a better position to guide the student so that those errors, those mistakes can be rectified on. So that is why the evaluation is important. Further, it helps the teacher to know about the special talents as well as the abilities of the student. When the teacher is assessing the students timely, she is obviously going to be aware of what are the things that the child is a master in, what are the good abilities of the child, so that the required opportunities can be given to the children to better groom them. If the teacher gets to know that the child is good speaker, she is going to make sure that the child is given appropriate opportunities to even, to make the speaking skills even better. It helps the teacher to judge the rate of progress of the student. Again, as we discussed earlier also, that since evaluation is done timely, it is done continuously, the teacher will know how much the child has progressed as compared to earlier and what is still the scope to progress further. Okay. So this graph will be known to the teacher. She will be in a position to understand the graph of the child. The child has grown from 0 to 10, then 10 to 15, then 15 to 17, and then 17 to 35, let's say. So this rate is going to be known to the teacher, which is very important for the teacher to move further in the direction of imparting the required knowledge and guiding the teacher. It provides a basis for grading the student and reporting to the concerned person. Now, if I am judging the students, I am assessing the students in every aspect, from their listening to their speaking, from their writing to their talking, to their sitting, to their thinking. If I'm, looking upon all these areas, I will know what are the areas that need to be worked upon with a lot of, vigor and, discipline. So I'm going to find out those areas and I am going to hand over the same to the required people. I will convey to them how much they need to work upon the child. So that will be then it is because of evaluation that the schools also, are given with an appropriate guideline on how the curriculum is to be framed. Giving an emphasis on only the subject is a thing of past. Now the time requires the school to frame a curriculum in which the different aspects of the child's personality are catered and are grouped. It helps the teacher in modifying his or her teaching process. 2. If I am a teacher, I am teaching the children. Through my continuous evaluation, I got to know that the impact my teaching has is not that strong as it should be. What will I do? I am going to find out a new and a better way to impart knowledge and information to the children. And then again, if I am changing my teaching methodology, I will assess them. If the results are satisfactory, I will continue with it. If not, I will look out for something else then. It also encourages the teachers for a further action. What can be done or what needs to be done with regards to the students, what should be done by them so as to ensure that those children who can be pushed further towards excellence, what she has to do for them, and those students who need to be pushed towards average, that also will be known